Alright, Mud, this is my cheat sheet for Tuesday, September the 6th. Alright, so there's all kinds of economic news out there. A lot of it's not so good. But let me start with one positive story. That involves you as an employee. If you're a high-performing employee, the good news is more companies have brought back the rewards programs. Remember how in the midst of the financial crisis, any of those reward programs from larger companies were viewed as being evil? I mean, especially the ones for employees associated with AIG or any of the big banks. Well, they've come back. 85 to 90% of all business reward programs for their employees, the most common of which is travel, by the way, it's back. And having just returned from Bermuda a couple of weeks ago in a trip that was an incentive for my wife, as she was one of the top performers at her company, I can appreciate the added level of productivity. Because the funny thing is, my wife was highly motivated. She obviously did quite well last year for her company. But she's even more engaged right now. Because once you get hooked to that feeling of being important, of having that neat reward, you want to do it again. You don't want to know what it's like to go back to not getting that kind of a fix. And so it's no surprise to me that we actually have new research that shows that employees that are top performing, that are rewarded, are giving back $3 to $5 per dollar spent on them in productivity. Meaning that if a company were to spend $5,000 for an employee as part of a reward program, they would get back somewhere from $12,000 to $15,000 return on investment. Not bad. So we all win there. So now for the other end of it, the unemployment numbers. We know on Friday they were terrible. No net jobs having been grown, and the bigger problem is with needing a minimum 120,000 new jobs being created, not to fall backwards, we're falling backwards. But the bigger problem is even on the younger end. We continue to see the trend that it's definitely better to be older than younger in the workforce. In fact, we continue to see Depression-era job situations for those on the youngest end, specifically teenagers. The teenage unemployment rate continues to rise. And this is a problem for a couple of reasons. Number one, we see that for minorities, the situation is much worse. For example, for black kids that are teenagers that are looking for work, the unemployment rate, 46.5%. Nearly 1 in every 2 is unemployed. And the bigger problem there is, we know that when you're talking about minorities in particular, the level of them attending higher education is the lowest. So you have the highest number of kids looking for the fewest available jobs there are, and 1 in 2 of them are going unemployed. And we know what that leads to. Oftentimes it can lead to underprivileged situations for an entire generation. It can lead to higher rates of crime and other activity as kids get desperate and resort to activities to try to figure out a means of coming by money. So all the way around, it's not a good looking situation. You put that with the one other piece of economic news today that's not good. Top Australian economist is actually calling for Europe to hit a recession. And that, if it occurs with our already weakened situation, only heightens the likelihood that we will see a double-dip recession here in the United States. That already has momentum, in part because of what I've talked about in past months, which is we've never had the current dose of economic information we've had and not entered a recession. So that's why you saw the financial markets in this country take a dive on Friday. As I do this right now, they're looking extremely negative today. Asia had a huge sell-off yesterday. So the same principles apply. You've got to do the very best for yourself and for your family, and you've got to position yourself for the worst-case scenario in the event it happens, that being re-entering recession. Among other things, make sure your budget's in order again, right? Here's something that's kind of cool. Schools. Schools are going to technology. In fact, we're seeing more schools make the turn to the iPad from the traditional textbook. As this story gained momentum yesterday, and you're hearing it be reported today, I went back to one school in particular that's done it for a full school year. That's a school in Minnesota. They issued 375 iPads. Over the course of 1 year, only 13 of those were destroyed or missing, meaning that the kids were doing a pretty good job taking care of them. And the average e-textbook cost $60 versus $75 in hard cost for the physical textbook. The problem continues to be the upfront cost of these iPads. Obviously, the entry-level iPad is $500. So with school budgets being pretty tight, Not many school districts will be able to implement these, but it's a new step forward anyway. And it's good for the kids because they're using technology that can be applicable in the workforce as soon as they exit school, make themselves more viable in the workforce. And we're also seeing a new product out from Leapfrog. I like this. If you want an iPad-like product for your child for under 10, this is the product. $100, 5-inch screen. It has apps, it has videos, it has the ability for them to take pictures and utilize a video camera, but it does not have free-wheelie access to the internet, so you don't have to worry about them getting into trouble. The Leapfrog product, more about that. The USPS meets its maker today. We have to wait and see what the future holds for the United States Postal Service. Expects Saturday mail delivery to end by the end of this month, if nothing else. That's the cheat sheet for today. We'll see you tomorrow.